I wanted to come on and speak really briefly about a situation that is the talk of Texas, and that's the stabbing that recently occurred in Frisco, Texas, at a track meet. A young man who was of scholastic achievement and athletic achievement was stabbed at a track meet yesterday by another young man at the track meet. He was stabbed in the heart. He died in the arms of his twin brother. And my heart bleeds and goes out to the family of Austin, the young man who was stabbed. Uh, it's heartbreaking because there's no winners in a situation like this. The young man who stabbed Austin is going to no doubt have the book thrown at him, be tried as an adult, and spend the rest of his life in prison. And he's going to have a lot of time to reflect upon his behavior, what he did, and the enormity of what it means to take another person's life, to steal their future from them, to take them and rip them from their family's arms. Uh, so, as he grows up and as he matures, I'm guessing that he's going to realize that his split second reaction to a situation, apparently the two had an argument over where he was sitting, over where the boy who stabbed him was sitting. And I guess they asked him, they said, you're not supposed to be sitting over here, your area's over there, or something to that effect. I don't know. And none of us knows unless we were there, okay? But his reaction to the situation, I know he's going to come to regret. A decision that he made that quick is going to cost him the rest of his life, his freedom. I have a few thoughts. My first thought to the mother of Carmelo, who's the young man who stabbed Austin. What kind of child did you raise? What kind of environment did you provide for your child to be brought up in? What kind of values did you teach your child? I'm just saying. I understand, just like any parent of a near adult or an adult, that they are in charge of their own decisions, and not every decision they make is a reflection necessarily upon you. I have children who have made bad decisions. It happens. Despite, and I was a stay-at-home mom and raised them in the church and gave them morals and everything else. They've made bad decisions. It happens. But oftentimes, when you have a young person who commits murder over a incident where at the very most you might hit somebody, but they chose to murder that person, and not only that, came armed to a track meet, I have to ask, what was their home environment? What did you teach them? And I have to say, I feel like that child was failed. I feel like that child was failed. He's not quite an adult, and he's making that level of bad choices. Because when you come armed to a track meet, I feel like you had some level of intent. I feel like you had some level of premeditation, possibly, that you felt you were going to run into a situation at a track meet, at a school track meet in Frisco. Frisco is real high end. In Frisco, That you needed a knife? I have a lot of questions about what was going on there and about what was going on at home with that child. But the other thing I wanted to say was it's very rare these days that you see Christians. I'm just going to put it out there. Oh, there's Christians all over social media, right? All over social media. Everybody's a Christian. But it's very rare that you actually see a Christian in this day and age. That's just me. It's my opinion. I'm going to put it out there. But I commend Austin's father. That man is a Christian. In the midst of the horror that was perpetrated on his son in Frisco, a high-end area, predominantly white area, where he could have gotten on television and said anything and started a racial war. A racial war. It's Carmelo, the boy who stabbed Austin, is black. And I saw his mugshot, and I don't judge because my son, his hairstyle is not at all what I would choose for it to be. So I understand, and I know some people see my oldest son and they make, assumptions and judgments or whatever due to his hairstyle. So I don't want to do that to another young man. But that young man looked rough. He looked rough. He looked like he might come from a rough place. So based on the mugshot, based on the location, the environment in Frisco, based on Frisco being predominantly white, Jeff, Austin's father, could have said anything up there in his grief-stricken state and started a race war. He could have fueled the temperature here in America right now, which from the top on down is one of hate, one of mistrust, one of racial division. Racism is at an all-time high in recent years here in America due to our leadership. White Americans are feeling real bold about what they do and what they say. So this man could have arguably, understandably, gotten up in front of the cameras and said all kinds of things that would have perpetuated and continued and fueled the racial division that is going on right now. But do you know what he said? He said, I already forgive this young man. He didn't even know who was in custody. He hadn't seen who was in custody. He had heard. He hadn't seen the boy, but he had heard. He said, I already forgive him. He talked about the Lord. Unbelievable. I always find it unbelievable. When I say unbelievable, amazing when Christians, because you have to excuse me, this is the kind of Christians that I see all around me all the time. I see the kind of Christians who speak Christ, talk Christ, but are racist. That's the kind of Christians we have a lot of times here in Texas. They'll talk Jesus all day long. They'll talk Jesus with you. But they're racist. And they make racist comments. And, it's kind of like with the Ku Klux Klan. They believe that their religion is very closely tied to their racial identity as white people. Now, I'm not saying all white people are racist, and I'm not saying that all white people that I know that are in Texas are racist. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. I have some very wonderful friends uh, who are not of color. Um, very wonderful, lovely people. But what I am saying is, I know a whole lot more that claim Christ and Klan ideologies at the same time. So, how beautiful was it to see Austin's father, who is in the throes of grief, anguish, choose to proclaim Christ and his teachings. And I ask you, how many of us are true followers of Christ? Not just claim Christ when he's convenient, when things are fine and everything's going good, but how many of us can claim Christ in the midst of a crisis?